Toyota says that its dealers have been hounding it every single day because they're afraid of Chinese competition, and they're hounding Toyota. They're saying, this is literally a quote from Toyota, every single day our dealers are saying they're worried. How will we combat the Chinese car brands? What are we going to do? Now, Toyota has responded with an interesting comment, which I think is completely false, but I mean, they're living in their own little bubble, so they think it's actually true. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. It's worth pointing out, guys, that so far this year, less than 1% of Toyota's sales worldwide have been electric cars. That's lower than for almost any other brand in the world. So when it comes to EVs, actual sales, deliveries are way behind. When it comes to actual product, well, okay. This gives you an idea on the actual ability of Toyota's engineers right now to make a good EV. If you compare the efficiency of a Tesla Model Y versus a Toyota bZ4X, the Model Y, if it were to use the same size wheels, basically the same size car, two motors, both cars with two motors, the Model Y is approximately 15% more efficient. That's a big difference. Imagine if that was the difference in terms of internal combustion efficiency. That would be an astronomical difference. Reviews for Toyota's EVs have not been particularly positive. I've read a lot of them, and almost never is that car being praised. Even Toyota themselves have admitted that they believe the Model Y is engineering genius, and they are actually planning on using similar technology to Tesla, gigafactories, potentially using gigacast machines. Toyota has said its response to dealers they literally said this: our dealers ask us every day how we will compete with China. He said, we have the better product. It's that simple. So basically Toyota is saying, even though BYD is pretty much making its EVs for it in China, Toyota is saying, we have better cars. We have better electric cars. I mean, what are they talking about here? I'm completely baffled. He went on to say a few other things, but I mean, it's like he was trying to sidestep the question like a politician. It's still uncertain how to keep competitiveness in terms of MSRP or price. And Toyota is admitting to the fact that they don't know how they will actually compete on price with Chinese car companies, with Tesla, even maybe with other legacy automotive EV manufacturers. Mr. Ogawa was actually discussing the impact on Chinese brands on the US market, but also his thoughts were about the global market as well. And he was talking about plans for Chinese car companies to build EVs in Mexico to get around American tariffs. However, the Toyota executive said China's global automotive push was being driven by a slowing domestic economy, creating pressure to move huge extra capacity of cars. Now, yes, there's a huge extra capacity of car production going on right now in China. There's literally tens, possibly hundreds of thousands of cars that are not being sold. Most of those being internal combustion engine vehicles. Most of them not being made by Chinese brands. They're mostly legacy automotive brands. And a lot of the legacy automotive brands now, they're running their factories at about half, about 50% capacity, or even less in some cases, meaning that their profits are going way down. China's economy is very much slowing down. It's not only Mexico and Canada, but Latin America, Asia, and Europe as well, he said to Automotive News. What happened in Mexico, for example, their products are so competitive, including any tariffs, they are a very low price. But then he goes on to say that, it doesn't really matter because actually prices in China are going to go up and they won't be any cheaper than things made in Japan anyway. He says, but China saw its labor costs increasing and its material costs as well. That's why someday they will be in the same condition. Now, it's worth pointing out the average median wage in China is still about half that of Japan. That's a big difference. Half. I don't see China approaching the average median wage of Japan within the next 20 years. That seems extremely unlikely. I think it'll take a lot longer than that. But Toyota's obviously hoping that cost pressures in China from increasing wages or whatever will put Japan on an equal footing with China. I just don't see that happening in the next 1,000 years, to be honest. To you guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Chinese products are very much improving, he said. I test drove a Chinese vehicle in Japan. And while it is a different taste, it is very much getting better than what it was in the past. Now, speaking of a different taste, that's just ridiculous. I mean, there's hundreds of different models of EVs being made by Chinese car companies, and they've got different vehicles for different tastes. So whatever taste you want, you can get it. There's so much choice now, probably too much. In Australia, there are brands like MG, Haval, Jerry, BYD. The list goes on. Of course, we're going to get soon. Zeekr are coming this year. There's numerous car brands coming from China. There's Xpeng coming as well. Leap Motor, GAC, Geely. Chinese brands are forecast to account for potentially 50% of all new car sales in 2030, causing the market here in Australia to just drastically change. We have open borders. China clearly is going to take I think by 2030, 50%. By 2040, probably 90%, maybe even higher than that, maybe even 95%. There's no way that Toyota can possibly compete with these Chinese car brands. They don't have the technology, for one. So these claims of we can compete on having a better product are completely false. For two, the only way they can really get the technology is by simply paying BYD to contract manufacture for them. I mean, Toyota have admitted that in 2025, their plug-in hybrids will be using BYD technology. And that's not just for the Chinese market, that's actually for markets outside of China as well. If Toyota really had all this amazing technology, we would know about it. It would be here today, and they wouldn't be using nickel metal hydride batteries in some of their plug-in hybrids, which is technology that's about 20 to 30 years old. There will be some successes. There will be some failures, he admitted. Will it affect some of the legacy brands? I think yes. People hate the status quo changing, but guess what? It's going to change. And I think it's going to change dramatically, said Kia's CEO Damien Meredith recently to Cars Guide here in Australia. Kia's right. But Kia actually have impressive technology. They have the EV3. They have the new EV5 coming with lithium iron phosphate batteries manufactured in China. They have the EV6. They have the EV9. I mean, Toyota has nothing on any of that. Toyota's technology is probably about 10 years behind even what Kia has, let alone Chinese car companies who are producing similar things at half the price. Thanks for watching.